If you've seen the news lately, you've probably heard about how terrorists attacked Israel. But this headline, repeated by politicians, corporate media, and infographics, is a lie that ignores the most important parts of the story. Here's 4 things you should know about Palestine. Number 1, Palestine was colonized by European settlers. Before 1948, there was no Israel. A political movement called Zionism emerged in Europe in the late 1800s, at the same time as the colonial powers like Britain and France were carving up Africa, Asia, and the entire world. The Zionists were supported by these European colonial powers, and they wanted to be given a piece of British colonial territory to create a Jewish state. Most Jews at the time rejected Zionism, but the movement was gradually able to start moving settlers into Palestine. Everything changed in 1948 with a horrific series of events, which is now called the Nakba, the Arabic word for catastrophe. Working with the British and the United States, Zionist militias launched a genocidal campaign to push Palestinians out of their homeland, destroying villages and carrying out massacres. 700,000 Palestinians were forced to flee their homes. Israel proudly declared its independence in the middle of this genocide. Number 2, Israel is a racist apartheid state. The whole idea of Israel in the first place is racist. A group of Europeans decided that they had the right to take away the land of a colonized people. Zionist leaders like Theodore Herzl openly colluded with the genocidal colonialists like Cecil Rhodes to plot on creating a Jewish state. And to no surprise, the policies of its government are basically the same as the racist apartheid government that ruled South Africa. Palestinians in a region called the West Bank, which Israel took over in the 1967 war, live under military rule, with the Israeli army in control of where you can move, where you can live, and even where you can work. Palestinians in the land that Israel took over earlier in the Nakba are routinely terrorized and discriminated against. Israel has constructed hundreds of Jewish-only settlements in the land that it's more recently conquered, and Palestinians are banned from traveling on these roads that lead into the settlements. These settlements are protected by the Israeli military, and settlers routinely commit mob violence and murder against Palestinian people under the protection of Israeli cops and troops. This is a prime example of brutal apartheid. Number 3, Gaza is under siege. Gaza is a small strip of land in the southwest of Palestine, along the border with Egypt. Unlike the West Bank, where Israeli troops patrol the streets, Israel controls Gaza by turning it into a giant prison. Gaza is surrounded by walls built by Israel where thousands of soldiers are stationed to keep close watch. Along the sea, the Israeli Navy blockades Gaza and controls what can or can't come in. They prevent medicine, construction materials, and even food from getting in, which Israeli officials disgustingly refer to as putting Gazans on a diet. To make matters worse, every few years, Israel bombs Gaza. In 2008, 2012, 2014, and 2021, Israel launched major wars that killed hundreds or even thousands of Palestinians. In 2018, the Zionist forces used extreme deadly force, gunning down over 200 Palestinian protesters at mass demonstrations where the Palestinians heroically marched to the Israeli walls that surrounded Gaza. Number 4, the US government funds Israel's crimes. The bombs, missiles, and bullets that are killing Palestinians come from the United States. Every year, the US government gives Israel almost $4 billion in military aid, and US corporations get the contracts to arm the Israeli regime. Every time the assault on Palestine escalates, the United States government rushes to double down on this genocide and help Israel whitewash its crimes. So ask yourself, if your home was stolen, if a racist military controlled every aspect of your life, if you were cut off from food and medicine and bombed every few years, wouldn't you resist too? This isn't terrorism. When the Palestinians take a stand, they are doing what every occupied people in history has had the legal and moral right to do: fight for freedom.